When would your party start, let's say?
Like 9:30.
Really? That early?
Yeah.
I could make that.
Yeah.
But I could think of you of starting a party at like midnight. Like what time will it go till?
That's a different type of party though.
Uh-huh.
It'll go from like 9:30 to like maybe 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And then, we have the top 2 floors of the hotel.
Mm-hmm. And then it will carry on there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then the after.
Were you surprised by the allegations about P. Diddy? Did that surprise you about P. Diddy? He's been on your show many times. Have you been to...
Looks like we've hit a nerve again. Joe Rogan just stirred up some serious noise. This time, he's calling out the strange silence surrounding Ellen DeGeneres. With Diddy's legal mess taking over every headline, Rogan's asking what a lot of people are already whispering. How come no one's connecting the dots? Ellen's name keeps creeping back into these talks, and it's getting harder to ignore. What's wild is how people are acting like they don't see it.
Personal beef with Diddy, but it's got to go down. The bits are there. I'm a gold miner. I just found some.
When Diddy got slapped with those heavy federal charges, the internet did what it always does. It started digging. Old interviews, old clips, old funny moments that don't feel so funny anymore when you rewatch them now. And that's exactly where Ellen's show comes crashing back into the spotlight. Fans are resurfacing clips of Ellen and Diddy looking a little too relaxed on her set, laughing, joking, throwing around that party talk like it was nothing. But now, those same clips are being replayed with a completely different energy, like maybe there was more hiding in plain sight. And wait till you hear Joe Rogan's take. He flat out said there's a reason nobody's holding Ellen to the same standard as everyone else. She didn't just have Diddy on her show once, he appeared multiple times. And those party convos weren't just small talk. They were casual, right there on camera, and now they're being re-examined like pieces of a much bigger puzzle. Something about this story feels like it's only getting started. When you really stop and think about it, that silence around Ellen is screaming. It makes you wonder, is this just bad timing, or is it one of those topics everyone's too scared to touch?
As you may have heard, this summer there were allegations of a toxic work environment at our show, and then there was an investigation. I learned that things happened here that never should have happened. I take that very seriously, and I want to say I am so sorry to the people who were affected.
Things get even weirder when you remember how Ellen's talk show ended after that toxic workplace scandal. That wasn't just some passing drama, it flipped her entire image overnight. After everything went down, Ellen and Portia packed up and moved to the UK, and Ellen publicly linked that move to the political climate. But people weren't buying it. Viewers started reading between the lines, treating the timing like some kind of message. Not just a lifestyle change, fair or not, that's how it landed. And that's exactly why folks keep digging up old clips and receipts, asking what really went down when the cameras weren't rolling. Now, before jumping back into what Joe Rogan said, here's a quick reminder of why Ellen's name even comes up in this Diddy conversation. When BuzzFeed News dropped that bombshell report about her show, it shattered her whole Be Kind reputation in one night. Former staff came forward saying the set felt toxic. There were stories about intimidation, racism, and a culture where people felt scared to speak up.
We're back with Sean Diddy Combs. Is it Diddy today? Because sometimes you're Puffy and sometimes you're Diddy. Or sometimes you're Daddy. What are you today?
I'm so confused today with it, as long as you say it in a nice way.
What really stuck with the public was the contradiction. Ellen's brand was built on kindness, but the stories made it sound like nonstop pressure behind the scenes. The backlash got so bad that several executive producers were kicked off the show, and Ellen had to address everything publicly. But even after her apology, people didn't let it go. They kept asking the same question. Was the problem just a few bad producers, or was the whole show built on something fake? The tension around her name never really went away. It just went quiet for a while, and now it's roaring back. Ellen tried to defend herself by saying she didn't know everything happening behind the scenes, and that's where the divide started. Some folks believed her, but plenty didn't, and either way, her image took a serious hit. The show went on for a bit after that. But when Ellen finally wrapped it up, she claimed it was because the show wasn't challenging anymore. Still, people weren't buying that either. To many, it looked like the trust was gone for good, and no amount of smiling on camera could fix it. Now here's where Joe Rogan stepped in and really stirred the pot.
Diddy just kept people at his houses because he's got multiple houses, and he's just had freak out part. Look at him. Look at Saucy sat down and go, Saucy.
Yeah. No, Saucy's crazy. Have you seen Saucy?
On his podcast during the whole Diddy talk, Rogan said what everyone's been side-eyeing for a while. It's wild how so many celebs used to joke about Diddy's parties like it was something to brag about. He even brought up names like Ashton Kutcher and others who openly mentioned those wild parties like they were badges of honor. That's when he dropped the real kicker. One of the biggest places where those party convos went down on camera was none other than Ellen's show. Rogan's point hit hard. He basically asked, how did all these big-name stars hang around those parties for years, talk about them publicly, laugh about them, and somehow claim they saw nothing? The current allegations make all that past talk sound a whole lot darker now, and the craziest part, none of that party talk was ever subtle. It was bold, open, and right there for the world to see. There's one moment from that 2018 interview that people can't stop replaying, and it's giving everyone chills. Diddy straight up tells Ellen that he always invites her to his parties, but she never shows up. Then he leans in and says, the parties start early, but the real party starts later, at midnight, on the top floors. And the wild part?
Are you going to try to be early?
Yes, I'm trying to be early.
Are you going to be early for my party?
Yes, I am. No.
No.
You know I have to arrive fashionably late.
All right. Not too late, though.
Not too late?
Not too late, please.
What time would you like me there?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
But not too late, because, you know, once you get there, the party really starts.
Yeah.
Ellen reacts like she already knows exactly what he's talking about. She laughs and says, I know about them. And that tiny reaction is now being picked apart like a clue. Here's why this moment has everyone talking, and why Joe Rogan thinks it's suspicious that Ellen's name barely comes up in the mainstream narrative. Ellen didn't just host Diddy once. He was on her show multiple times, and the party talk was a running inside joke. Fans are saying that now, with everything coming out, those old jokes don't sound so innocent anymore. Then people started digging deeper, pulling up that 2002 Conan O'Brien clip where Diddy joked about needing locks on the doors at his parties. Back then, it came off as edgy humor. But when viewers rewatch it today, it doesn't feel funny. It feels like straight up foreshadowing. Fair or not, the entire vibe hits differently now. Once those clips started flooding social media again, the question got louder.
If you don't have what they need, they're going to leave.
Right.
Got to keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
It's a little kinky.
What did Ellen know, if anything? And why hasn't she said a single word? Then came more old receipts, like that 2016 tweet where Ellen called Diddy cuddle snuggle stuff. People started reading way too deep into it. There were even moments caught on camera where she was approached with questions and stayed silent. Some viewers say she looked uncomfortable, while others argue anyone would react that way when ambushed. Either way, it only added more heat to the firestorm. Rogan's main point stays simple but sharp. How can someone who was so close to these moments, so connected to the conversation, stay completely untouched while everyone else is being called out? Something about that doesn't sit right with the public. If you're close enough to have someone like Diddy on your show over and over, joke about his wild party culture on national TV, and even react like you know what that means, then yeah, people are going to expect you to speak up when things turn serious. That's exactly what Joe Rogan was pointing out. The silence, not just from Ellen, but from a lot of big names, feels strange. And Rogan says that's what makes it suspicious, at least in how people perceive it.
Party, am I invited?
Yes. Yes, you're definitely invited. I invite you to all my parties. You just haven't seemed to show up.
No, well, is it on the East Coast?
Yes.
Well, that's why. Why don't you have one here on the West Coast? Because I work all the time.
Okay, well, maybe I have one at your house.
Where's the...
But hold on, because there's another layer that makes this whole situation even messier. Remember that workplace scandal that nearly wrecked Ellen's brand? Some former staffers said the atmosphere behind the scenes was tense. People felt scared to speak up, like one wrong move could cost them their job. And now, online commenters are comparing that same mix of fear, power, and silence to what they think goes down in other celebrity circles where influence rules everything. It doesn't mean Ellen did anything criminal, but it does explain why folks keep drawing these parallels, and why her name keeps getting dragged back into the discussion. Then there are those recurring stories people can't stop mentioning, like the Ellen days, as one former crew member called them, describing how tense the set always felt. Others have claimed certain guests were quietly kept off the show over personal issues. Whether every detail is 100% true or not,
I feel like you may not do that. You're neat, though, right? I would imagine your closet is color coordinated. Everything is hung in a certain,
yes.
Right? So you're neat. It's just that you're not the person that puts it back.
the public keeps pointing to the same pattern: control, pressure, and silence. And once that pattern sticks in people's minds, they don't just watch old clips anymore. They analyze them. There's one moment in particular that fans say shows the biggest contrast, It's when Ellen spoke about standing for kindness and accountability right before her own image started taking hits. That side-by-side moment is what makes people question how clean any public stance really is when the spotlight flips. Back in 2009, when Chris Brown was accused of assaulting Rihanna, Ellen didn't hold back. She put Diddy on the spot during her show, questioning why Chris was even allowed to stay at his house. Ellen spoke with conviction, saying she didn't want any girl thinking it was okay to go back to a man who hurt her. It was one of those moments that made her look like she was standing firm for women and setting moral boundaries right on live TV. But fast forward a few years, and the irony hit hard. When the workplace allegations around her own show came out, former staff members started describing behavior that felt toxic and emotionally draining. Suddenly, the same talk show that once stood for kindness and integrity was being accused of creating fear and pressure behind the curtain. That's why so many people labeled it hypocrisy. Not because there's proof of a crime, but because the contrast is impossible to ignore. One day, Ellen's talking about protecting women and calling out abuse. And the next, her own team is painting a picture of an unhealthy work culture. The shift was too sharp for viewers to overlook. Then things got even more suspicious when reports surfaced that Ellen and Portia quietly sold their Montecito mansion and moved to rural England. Ellen publicly tied that move to the political climate, but the timing raised eyebrows. Viewers immediately connected it back to the Diddy discussion, wondering why the move happened just as his legal troubles were dominating headlines.
Party, but there's a camera that swings around and they go, hey, yo, oh, Odell Beckham, and you see Justin Bieber's head come up from his crotch, and he looks in the camera and he's very confused. It's a really disturbing video.
At that time, Puff was the biggest guy in the world. You know, you couldn't even get in this party. And he was throwing a party, and he said, yo, Playboy, this party's $1.5 million. I said, for what? I mean, what are you saying? It costs $1.5 million to throw this party. I said, Puff, I love it. The party's amazing. Yes, the mayor is here and everything. I said, but that's too much. I said, you come to my place in LA, I'll throw you a party for $400. That will rival this party. And he got a little mad. He was like, yo, no, I'm known.
And that's where the conversation twisted into something even darker. The internet crowd doesn't just watch anymore. It builds stories, connects patterns, and fills in the blanks itself. Every silence, every move, every clip starts getting treated like part of a bigger mystery, and Ellen's name keeps getting pulled right back into the storm. Then things went completely off the rails when wild rumors started spreading that Ellen had an arrest warrant linked to her former DJ, Stephen Twitch Boss, who tragically passed away in late 2022. Some even claimed there was a mysterious recording played in court. But here's the truth. Fact checkers came in fast and proved the whole story was totally false. Still, what really stood out was how quickly it spread before anyone bothered to ask, is this even real? Instead of questioning the facts, people were asking something else. Does this fit the storyline? That's the scary part. Ellen's public image had already taken such a big hit that her name became a magnet for any shocking rumor that even sounds like it belongs in the darker side of Hollywood. The truth almost didn't matter anymore, babe, because in this kind of media storm, a wild rumor can travel faster than reality itself. But here's the thing, that level of distrust is real, and it's why these stories refuse to die out. Even in her Netflix special For Your Approval, Ellen addressed what it felt like to be pushed out of Hollywood, cracking jokes about it like she was reclaiming the narrative. She even admitted that the "Be Kind Girl Not Being Kind" headline had become her entire identity. Yet what caught people's attention wasn't just the humor, it was the tone, the way she spoke about ego, exposure, and how the hate seems louder than the love hit differently. She said, there are such extremes in this business. People either love you and idolize you, or they hate you, and those people somehow are louder. But a lot of listeners didn't hear that as self-reflection. They heard it as deflection, like she was still processing the fallout instead of truly owning it. And just when you'd think things might cool off, another clip went viral. One that showed how far people have taken this whole narrative. The deeper the internet digs, the more blurred the line gets between fact and fantasy. And Ellen's name keeps getting pulled right into the middle of it all. Things got even wilder when Aaron Rodgers jumped on Joe Rogan's podcast and tried to compare the design of Ellen's old talk show set to Epstein Island. He claimed the buildings looked too similar.
Clear something up. There's a lot of talk going on with Chris Brown being at your place in Miami, and you arranging Chris and Rihanna getting back together.
And it's my house. And I'm allowed to give my house whoever I want to give my house to. That's number one. Number two is that I'm the type of person that I don't cast a stone or cast a judgment on anybody. And so if a friend or friends ask me for a favor, then I'm going to be.
and Rogan immediately shut that down. He said it looked more like a random spot in LA and was probably just coincidence. Still, the fact that it even came up says a lot about where Ellen's reputation stands right now. People online are starting to place her on the same conspiracy map they use for some of the darkest names in modern pop culture. Not because there's any proof, but because the internet loves a story that feels cinematic and scandalous. The truth doesn't even need to fit perfectly. It just has to sound like it might. So what's everyone saying about this madness? Let's check the reactions, because the comment sections are loud. One person wrote, "Ellen knew. She's hiding out in England while Diddy's tied up in a federal case." Another said, "Rogan's just saying what everyone's thinking," and questioned why certain names get dragged through the mud while others seem to get a softer edit. Then there are the body language takes. Endless clips of Ellen ignoring questions, with commenters saying her face looks guilty. Again, none of that is evidence. It's all perception. But perception is exactly what fuels these non-stop online wars. Every little detail, every old headline, awkward moment, or offhand comment gets stitched together into a new theory. And if you look at the pattern, it's always the same. The toxic workplace scandal that never fully faded, the public apology people didn't buy, the quiet move overseas that fans read like a signal, and now the Diddy connection making all that noise again. It's like the internet built a movie script around her life, blending real controversy with pure speculation. And once that narrative takes off, it's nearly impossible to slow it down. And that right there, that's the engine driving this whole story. People feel like Ellen never really paid a price, so they start digging for a bigger explanation. Remember that question from the beginning. Why does it feel like nobody wants to talk about Ellen in this conversation? Well, here's the answer that a lot of folks are landing on.
All right, well, let me catch up on what's been going on with me since you saw me last. I decided to take up gardening. I got chickens. Let me see what else I can tell you about that. It's been going on. Oh, yeah, I got kicked out.
They think she's being handled differently. Not officially, not in a courtroom sense, but in a she's still Ellen DeGeneres kind of way. People point to her connections, her influence, her money, and the kind of relationships that can shape a story even after she stepped away from TV. The idea isn't that she's untouchable by law, it's that she's untouchable by narrative. And that's exactly what's making people suspicious. But what's shifting now is that voices like Joe Rogan aren't sticking to Hollywood's unspoken rules anymore. They'll say the quiet part out loud, not as a verdict, but as a question. And the second someone with a huge platform raises that question, the internet runs wild with it. That's when theories multiply, clips resurface, and every old joke starts getting dissected like evidence. The real controversy isn't Ellen is worse than Diddy. That leap would be reckless. The actual controversy is why certain names get grilled non-stop while others seem to get a softer pass. Even when the clips exist, even when the quotes are on record, even when the optics look messy. And that's why Ellen's name won't fade from the discussion. The Diddy headlines didn't just spark a scandal, they triggered a rewind. People started replaying old interviews, relabeling old moments, and connecting dots that might not even belong together. Suddenly, the audience isn't just watching entertainment anymore. They're watching for patterns. So what happens next for Ellen? That's the question hanging in the air. Because the public's not just curious anymore. They're on a mission. Honestly, Ellen's probably living a quiet life now. Unless someone steps up with real verifiable evidence. Not rumors, not theories, not body language clips. There's nothing actually linking her to anything illegal. Most likely her legacy will stay tied to that toxic workplace scandal and the cold reputation that came with it, not anything connected to Diddy's mess.
The temple, and then look at the... Let me see Ellen's background. What? Oh, similar. That looks like a building, though. Like
yeah, sure.
Yeah. Is that a building in LA? That might...
As for Diddy, his legal saga is far from over. These kinds of battles don't just vanish. There'll be appeals, filings, and civil fights that keep his name echoing through the headlines. And every new twist seems to drag more names into the mix, whether they belong there or not. That's just how the internet moves. Fast, messy, and always hungry for the next plot twist. So what do you think? Did Ellen know more than she ever admitted? Or is this just the internet doing what it always does? Turning old clips into brand new storylines? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And hey, if you're into deep dives like this, where we unpack the stories that mainstream coverage tiptoes around, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Every click helps keep these conversations alive. And trust me, in Hollywood, the drama never ends. It just comes back louder.